Believe it or not, it's another VO podcast with three guys who are full-time voice actors at different stages of life, career, and location.
But they have formed a bond and work together to hold each other accountable and help each other on their VO path.
Three guys from different backgrounds working together, helping each other, and sharing with you along the way.
Hey, what are we calling it again?
It's another VO
podcast.
Okay, guys. Sorry, I get it. Come on, you're not my dads.
Hey, welcome to another VO podcast. We're here back with episode number 20, the actual episode number 20, not what we thought was 20 in the last episode.
Let's be honest, it was me who thought it was 20, and you were quick to correct me.
That's right. How you guys doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing all right. It's okay.
Yeah? Wow.
A little sore.
You you don't sound like you're doing great. Is that bad voice acting there? Trying to convince me you're doing great when you're
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah. Well,
It's just been one of those months, man. Been slow, and well, I'll say this: it's been slow, but it's been busier than the first half of the year and in the last half of, or I said the last couple of months of last year. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm definitely done some stuff, but I want more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the grind gets to you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it just
dude,
gets
it
you
does.
down.
It does.
Well, how about
It's addictive, isn't it? It's addictive when you get busy and you want it to stay a certain way.
Yes.
And then when
Yes,
it falls
is.
off, you're so not really depressed, but you go off in a ditch.
Well, it's like if
and
you have
then
a great week and the next week is nothing like that, you're kind of like, oh
Yeah,
crap,
yeah.
what did I do wrong?
What
Or,
did I
like,
do
what's
wrong?
happening?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
or was that just a
exactly.
fluke? Like it's so easy to get in your head when stuff goes great one week and
I
then
know.
literally the next week it's the complete opposite and
Yep.
you're sitting there like pedaling
Yeah.
your feet, twiddling your thumbs, whatever that looks like. But I mean, just man, whatever that looks like must be my catchphase.
Yeah.
I swear, if we went back and looked and listened to
Your
the podcast, you're gonna hear me. And whatever that looks
Yeah,
like
for me, last week was a good week, and then I get up Monday and I'm halfway through the day. I'm like, where are the jobs at? Where are the jobs?
Yeah.
Call me.
And we want the work to come, so we're sitting there watching for it, or we're waiting for that next audition, or maybe something will hit my inbox. And what we should be doing, and I posted about this yesterday, what we should be doing is investing in next week and the week after.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
it's so easy to not do that, to go off in a rabbit hole on the internet or go do this or start watching stuff. And what we should be doing is adding to our database, putting
Right,
more people in there to contact. You ain't got to
Yep.
contact them today, but you're setting up for tomorrow or next week.
right?
And
Mhm.
and it's so hard. And that's what we talked about last week, all this self-motivation and this and this and this. It's
Yep.
so hard to do that. And you finally, maybe one day we get in a groove and it becomes more second nature to do it. But I'm not there yet. I have to make myself do these things right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with
It's
you.
hard. It's
Yeah,
just
it
hard.
is. It is. You got to be a self-starter. You got to get up and do it. And sometimes that's hard for all of us.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
What
how
are we
about we
talking
just
about? Yeah.
how about we forget about that for a minute and we do something completely un-voiceover related.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Right.
up for that.
So you know this ahead of time, but I'm saying this for the listener so they know something's up. We're gonna play Two Truths and a Lie. We're gonna start it each giving our two truths and a lie, and then at the end of the episode, we're each gonna try to guess from the other which one was the lie. Okay.
Ah.
All right. Dealer goes first, I guess.
Okay.
I'll go first. Okay, here's my two truths and a lie. As a child, when I was a child, the school, that's bad grammar, guys. When I was a child, the school had to call my parents because I ate my lunch too fast. I cheated on a test. I swallowed a thumbtack. Two of those are true and one is a lie.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I did it a little differently than that, but so my two truths and a lie. One of my best friends has made a living as a professional video game player on Rainbow Six Siege, and then he transitioned that over to coaching a professional video game Rainbow Six Siege team.
Okay.
My other one is when I was a kid, I sang the song Rockin' Robin. stylized, I think, after the Jackson 5 at my school. And the school liked it so much, they sent me to this kind of review thing at the mall. And my parents were approached by a casting person and said, we would love to have him come join our group. And he would have to move to Branson, Missouri. So my parents ultimately decided against it. But who knows? I could have been a famous singer or performer.
Okay.
And then
in
my
Branson,
third is that I've been a Cowboys fan since I was 5 years old.
Okay.
All right. And I guess I kind of took a little different approach. In 1978, I was named the Babe Ruth Regional Baseball Athlete of the Year. In 1986, I was the opening act for Pam Tillis. And in 2008, I toured with the Bill Gaither group as a backup singer.
Okay. The BGVB, the Bill Gaither Vocal Band.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
are we
all
telling
right.
now or are we waiting?
No.
later?
We're going to wait till the end of the episode.
Okay.
For one, I might need to think about some of your guys's. Just a little bit. We'll reveal that at the end of the episode, okay?
Okay.
And
So if you're listening, stick around.
and
Or
that'll
just
give
skip forward.
that'll give listeners a chance to try to figure it out themselves. Come up with
Process it,
maybe
yeah.
what is it that the lie is. We'll find maybe we're not very good liars. I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably not.
Probably.
Okay, guys, did you see the news over the weekend? I saw it that Stephen Fry discovered that someone used his voice from
Yeah.
the narration of the Harry Potter books
Yep.
to create an AI of his voice, and that was used to record an historical documentary.
That's
Mhm.
crazy. And
Yeah.
did he? I saw the headline and but I didn't read the article. Did he
Yeah.
pursue legal?
He showed his agent in Britain, in
Yeah.
Great Britain. He showed his agent in the U.S. They both were just blown away. They couldn't even believe that had taken place. And so, yeah, I'm sure they're trying to figure out what legal action they can take, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So today I want to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, specifically about voiceover, about AI being used to replace voiceover, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Have you guys encountered that?
Yeah,
I-
I even got yesterday. A guy sent me a job and sent me an AI sample with it. This is the pace we want.
Yeah.
He didn't
That's
care
great.
about.
I've got that
He
too.
didn't want it to
Yeah.
sound like the. He didn't want me to sound like the AI voice, which was British, by the way. But he wanted me to follow the tone, or
Yeah.
not the tone, but the pace.
I actually similar thing happened to me recently, but I mean, but seeing AI out there is not anything particularly new. At least over the last year, maybe year and a
Yeah.
half, you
Yep.
see
Right,
these jobs out
right.
there, and we talked about it. And I think in the rates episode, talking about seeing the TTS jobs, the text to speech jobs, or
Yes.
just people just blatantly saying we want to use it, we want your voice to train AI, and it's like,
Yep. Yeah.
no, like, no. So it's definitely not something super new, but I heard it for the first time. Like I said recently, there's a project that I might be a part of. There's a lot to it that I can't say, but I was shown a clip to kind of get an idea of the tone and the vibe, not necessarily the voice, but just the vibe of what I was going to be narrating, so to speak. And I did not realize the voice was AI until afterwards, and they told me that. But one of the things, which is encouraging, they told me is that AI can't emote and can't act. Like it can mimic someone. In this case, they wanted it to mimic someone, a certain celebrity. And in all
Yeah.
honesty, it did sound like it to an extent. But again, when I went back and listened to it again after the fact, I did hear that it was still kind of robotic. Not robotic in the way
Right.
that it was like a machine, but it didn't act. It can't act, which
Right,
that in
right.
there lies the key.
That is true.
AI might, soon take
Yeah.
over like those smaller end jobs that don't really care about the emphasis.
That don't
acting,
care.
emotion.
Thank you for using
Right.
that phrase. That don't care. Now,
That
before we
don't
go any further, let me say that, to the listener, we are not legal experts. We are not experts in how AI is created, whether through legal means or illegal, means like stealing Stephen Fry's voice from the Harry Potter novels. And we don't necessarily understand the broad scope of this issue, but we need to talk about it. I want to understand, more about it.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. What are What is wrong with giving your voice to, as you mentioned, Jake, to a TTS job? I mean, that job was worth thousands of dollars. Because I know exactly which one. We all saw it this week on Voice
This week,
123.
yeah. It was like $54,000
Yeah.
or estimated.
Yeah, I think what it came down to was like $1,100 per finished hour.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
It
What's
is.
wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
You can
And
make
now, it was clearly, it said, this may be used to create synthesized voice later down the road, which is
Yeah.
what they mean is, we're going to use
Because-
this to make an AI voice. That's
Right.
what they mean.
It's wrong because you'll never have control of where it's used.
and you won't
A,
get compensated for
and
it.
you will not be paid.
You're not going to hey,
ever
we're using
again.
your synthetic
Yep.
voice. Here's more
Yep.
money. Wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Wrong.
the two things. There's, you
Yep.
know, there's a third, and I can't remember. I wrote it down. I forgot, but that came up when I went to the vocation conference. You know, there were the 3 C's, and I forget the third C. But control and compensation are the big ones that jump out to me always. If I can't control where it's used, then no, I want no part of that. And if I'm not going to be paid every time it's used, you know, and the difference is if you are contracted to do your voice on an AI platform and they are putting it out there and it's not even really under your name. Sometimes they'll put a false name on there, but you're getting paid for that and you have control over who gets to use it. You approve those projects. You can say no. And that's different. But when you do this, you are signing everything away. Everything.
Yep.
It's in
everything
it's
away.
in the they're going to
It's
make
in
you sign a
perpetuity.
contract.
If
and
you
unless
do an AI, it's in perpetuity. They own it.
Yeah.
You don't. You no longer own your voice. Let me say, you no longer own exclusivity to your voice.
Yeah, and they even put in there they can sell it to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and then it can just keep being sold. Why would you ever want to do that?
And there's still people that are auditioning for that. Like, what did you say when we saw it, like, later in the day? Like, because you had gotten it later in the day.
Well, I'm a little bit lower on 1, 2, 3 than you guys are. And so, I saw it later in the day, and there were 20-some auditions.
There should be 0 for that job.
There should be 0.
But those 27 people
job.
either, one, don't care, which is crap because, like, your community cares about you and doesn't want you to do that, or 2, they don't know, which is sad because it's like, man, start educating yourself. I mean, like,
exactly.
$4,000 sounds nice and it's going to get you through some times. But if you're a serious voice actor and you put in the work and dedication and learning your craft and market yourself, get coaching, you can make way more than that in the long run off of your voice.
Yeah.
Like $54,000 all at once, sure, but you can do a lot better than that over time.
You're competing against yourself. You're stealing jobs from you. You're not stealing jobs from other people. You're stealing them from you. Because when someone's hiring or casting a voiceover, they have a voice in their head that they're looking for. And you may nail the audition, but you weren't the voice in the client's head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or if you are the voice in the client's head, that's why you get the job.
Yeah.
If the voice in the client's head is you, and it's you versus yourself in AI, you're losing the job to you. Nobody sounds like me. I have a unique voice. So that can keep me out of jobs. It can also help me score jobs. It's good and bad, right? But the uniqueness that I'm selling of my voice belongs to me. Nobody else owns that, and they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Correct. Yeah, I mentioned just a second ago about I booked a job yesterday, and it said in the specs absolutely no regional dialects, no accents.
Yeah.
So I gave my Gen Am take as, I went through, picked out the words, made sure I did a really good job on my Gen Am take. And then I did me.
Accent?
Oh my gosh. And then I just relaxed conversational me on take 2. They booked the job and said, please record it like your second take. Well, wait a minute. You said in there you didn't want that. And they said the client loved the slight
accent,
subtle Southern accent.
Because it makes you sound human.
Because it fit. But it makes you a
person.
It does. It's real. It's real. The other, when I read the other, it's still me, but it's not really me because I'm having to concentrate on not saying certain words. So, and AI could probably fix all of that. They could probably take and model your voice and turn it into a Gen Am voice with no regional dialect at all. And
Maybe,
I even thought about that. If I were able to link up with one of those companies, maybe I should do that. Let them do a AI model of my voice and let it be a Gen Am voice. And when I book a job like that, let it do the job. If they couldn't really hear it and it were more e-learning or whatever. But like you said, a lot of commercial stuff, not going to fly.
Well, let's
Hey.
go ahead, Jake.
I was gonna say like something to kind of touch on that, like, and I don't remember who you might have talked about was doing this, and I don't necessarily want you to name them if you don't feel comfortable. But didn't you say that you know a voice actor who was actually training their own AI, like so they could
There are
like basically
several.
there's
Yeah,
several.
there's
Okay, so
several.
that
Yeah.
is a thing then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can own your own AI then
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sure.
heard, I can't remember who was in the conference who talked about it, but they had used a certain company. And of course, like I said, they put them up under a different name. It's not under their name. So if somebody goes on there and searches, say, I want that voice, he gets paid for that. He said, it's really nice, income that is being made without me doing anything else.
Sure.
And that's going to continue to grow, I think. I think we're going to see more voice actors will have those bank voices.
But as long as you own it, then that's the
As long as you own it, it's fine. Yeah,
Right.
So
that's
that's
it.
that's
That's
definitely something to
okay.
consider then.
That's okay. And like he said, it's going to catch some of the lower paying stuff. People will go on there and do that. It's less money. But he said, hey, look, it's residual income for me. I don't have to do anything.
Right.
So it makes sense. That part
Oh,
makes sense
100%.
to me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
This,
And
like Alden said, it's the knowledge. Everybody's got to get educated at the difference.
Yes.
And
yeah.
we
I
don't
don't
fully
feel
understand
educated
it.
enough.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't either. And I'm learning. I mean, I learned a ton at the conference, but to come in here and say, yeah, we're stirring up a discussion and we want people to start thinking about it and looking into it more than we're saying we know everything and we're telling you. No, we're telling you we don't. We worry about it, but we want the newer people to really look into it because they are likely the ones in those 20-something auditions.
Mhm.
Likely.
Yeah.
Right.
Very likely. I agree with that. Let's talk about the control aspect. You mentioned that as one of the 3 C's, Troy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a person of faith. My faith is very important to me. There are some jobs I'm not going to audition for. There's some jobs I'm just not going to do. And you see based on whatever your morals are, whatever your decisions are that you want to be identified with, your voice is going to be on, right?
Right.
When you do those things. So we have a right as voiceover actors to turn down work that we just don't want to be tied to.
Of course.
Right.
And whatever your stance is on anything, that should be a freedom we have. But if an AI is created of your voice, you don't have that control. You don't have that choice. And all of a sudden, something that sounds like you is identified with something that you don't want to be associated with,
It can happen, especially if you sign it away. Yeah.
Yeah. So people need to be very, very careful when they're looking through these jobs and identify what it is being used for. If it's going to be used creating AI, what are some warning signs to look out for, guys, to say, this doesn't smell right. This doesn't look right. I think they might be creating an AI voice. What would you look out for to make sure you didn't put your voice to that?
Just read like the usage and make sure. I mean, like I know. Here's the thing: if they don't include that information in there, then obviously I think the law can be on your side. But the issue is that the law hasn't caught up with the technology of AI. If you do something willingly,
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't include that information and they're training an AI with your voice, but you didn't know that, I'm interested. That's why I asked kind of about what Stephen Fry's process was, and I'm sure they are taking legal action because he clearly didn't give consent. But
That's right.
was that it? Consent, control, and or I guess control and consent might have been the other C. Control and consent are the same C, aren't they?
Troy will think of it as soon as we are done.
That may be right.
He'll think
Maybe
of the other
control,
C.
consent, and
compensation.
compensation. That may be
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I guess it just depends. But I mean, always read the details of any audition. Period.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
that way you know exactly what you're auditioning for. I will say, sometimes you don't fully know what you're auditioning for, and that can be a good thing. Again, the project that I encountered that AI on, the project description was very vague. It didn't smell like AI to me, and it's not. I know now. But what it ended up being is something very cool, which again I can't talk about. But just goes to show you that like sometimes vague details may not be a bad thing either. But
Right.
that being said, just pay attention to what you're auditioning for.
I have
And again, if
wondered.
it's text to speech, I mean that almost always is training
That's a
something.
giveaway.
It's
Yeah,
training
text.
something.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're training something like, and it could be like a Siri type thing. I mean, I've seen a couple of text to speech jobs that were for like, a voice of a car or kind of thing. And those are a little different, but you do have to watch like if it's something like we want to use your voice as like the voice assistant in this new car that's coming out. That might be
Yes.
cool,
Yeah, that would be
but
cool.
you got to
Sure.
see exactly how much of your voice they're going to own. But we also reserve the right to continue to do this in new models or to sell your voice kind of thing, et cetera, et
Right,
cetera. I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
you just, again,
Yeah.
you always, and if that's not included, it's okay to ask questions. You can even audition for something and ask questions in your proposal. If they want to explore further with you and, message you directly kind of thing. And you're kind of, I'm basing this off of like a 1-2-3 proposal or a voices.com proposal. If they want to pursue something with you, they'll message you obviously, and then you can actually get more and more broad with your questions because then you've opened a discussion.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to ask questions, and you should ask questions. Make a list have a list ready, honestly, for something like that. Like if I'm going to audition for this job, these are the questions I have. Because even if you do an audition and they want to use you, you ultimately can be like, you know what, this isn't for me after all, based on what you've said, kind of
Right.
thing. Just because you audition and get the job doesn't mean that you have to follow through with it. You can absolutely always say no, never mind, I'm not comfortable. They can always hire
Or
somebody else.
or
Yep.
stick three words in that proposal. Pending contract review.
Right.
I
Put
like
that
that.
in there.
That's a
Yep.
great.
And
That's excellent. Yeah.
then if you do happen to get it, it was in your proposal, get it reviewed. And
Mhm.
don't go to an attorney in Podunk, Tennessee. Go to somebody that knows a VO contract and understands the usage
An entertainment
and
lawyer.
everything. Yeah, get an entertainment
Right.
person.
Ask
I know.
the community.
Yeah, and there's one that's very, very popular. If you want to know that one, email us. I'll email you his contact information. He
Okay.
did one for me last week. Very reasonable to review it and get information back to me within 2 hours. So you can't beat that,
Yeah.
And
it's worth it. It's worth
it
it
is.
to get
It
that
is.
done because we're
I
talking
knew,
about a lot of money here. A
yes,
lot
and
of
you're talking
potential
about
money.
yeah, you're leaving a lot on the table, and you just want to make sure. And I like what Jake brought up. There was something that came up the other day, and I can't remember what the voice was, and I saw the thing, and it was kind of like what you're talking about. And they were going to train it for this and this and this. But I remember it said in there, and possible use on other projects. There's your no right there. You say, no, this will be only for this project. I will only agree for you to use it for this project. You cannot use it for anything else. And if you stipulate that, they can't. If they hire you, they can't. Just be sure you got everything in writing.
Anything in writing is pretty much. I mean, and I've had an entertainment lawyer tell me this. I mean, like if you've got it in writing, even if it's email, even if it's not a signed thing, that's still technically binding. It will
It
hold up
is.
if you ever have to go to court and stuff like that. And a lot of
Yep.
times, if they're the ones breaching the thing, they'll and it's found in favor of your defense or whatever. A lot of those court fees go back to them anyway. So again, it's always worth it to just know what's up and try to protect your
Yeah.
intellectual property, because that's what it is. Your voice is your intellectual property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you own it. It's yours. And there's
Yes.
there's only two parts to a contract: offer and acceptance.
Yeah.
And if your offer says that they can't use it anywhere else, and they accept that and hire you, exactly what Jake said. If you have that in a proposal, in an email, in something in writing, and they replied back to it and accepted it, it's a contract.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're good. But my gosh, just look for trouble words, exclusivity, perpetuity.
Yeah.
I don't know what other keywords you look for outside of that, but there are others, I'm sure, where they're saying possibly used on other projects, blah, 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 whatever. Just watch for red flags. There's a ton of them. And what I also learned in the conference is, Nava had gone up to D.C. the week before that conference to talk to people about the AI stuff and what was going on. And the AI companies in general, the legitimate ones, they want to protect and work with voice actors. They want this to be a partnership. They want it to be right. They don't want to damage our business, but they also want to further the AI side of it to where if it'll prosper or however it's going to prosper, they're a part of that, but they also don't want to cause detriment to all of us.
Right.
And I think that's a big key. They have to be educated as well. They need to understand what we need and what we want from AI, and we need to understand what they plan to do with it. And
that well, that's the thing too, is like, you hear all the time. I mean, it was kind of like that post you shared. I think maybe it was either Alden or Troy shared that post yesterday about a job that we all saw recently that was like $600 for X amount of spots locally, but for 4 years usage. And then someone said that they replied to them with like proper union rates, telling them that the rate they were proposing is just
Yeah.
not right. And they
Right.
acted like they
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah, I
know,
saw
which is
that.
like, it's kind of shocking, right? Like you think like anyone who's dealing with AI has clearly got to know that this is, that these rates are wrong, or like and perpetual use of this voice without compensation is wrong. And then you find out they don't. Like, it's always shocking. So I guess what I'm saying is like, you should always approach something, and I don't want to say assume because we know what assuming means. But you should always approach something as if the person or the people that you're talking to aren't necessarily educated on what's proper and what's not when it comes to rates and your voice and whatnot. So even if they do know, it's always okay to put in a blurb. And by the way, I'd love to discuss what proper rates are for this, or just putting in there, I don't agree to extra use outside of what's discussed here, yada yada yada,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
opens up the door for constructive conversation. Something that I'm probably using the wrong words. I'm not very vocabularily inclined, but I'm just saying. Hence vocabularily. Anyway, it always try to open the door in a polite, nice way, in a professional way, for discussion, right? For great discussion, and for a good discussion as far as where you can take, educating people about proper rates for using your voice outside of you just recording something. And obviously we're talking about AI,
Yeah. Well, talking about the in-perp usage with anything, that kind of loops us back to AI. Mark Scott was talking about in one of his Friday, where you can ask him anything on Fridays. YouTube, have you watched any of those? Have you seen those?
Yes,
He does
sir.
a great job with those, and I watch them whenever I can. He was talking about AI, and he gave the example of, if you do one of these TTS jobs and your voice is being used now to create commercial work for a pizza spot, say Pizza Hut, right? And now your AI voice is being used to create that Pizza Hut, and you sold your rights in perpetuity for that. That's like you being hired to do a Pizza Hut job, but not getting paid for it. And now you want to audition for Little Caesars. Well, you can't compete with yourself. You've now sold your rights to Away. So you have cost yourself work. You have cost yourself the opportunity for jobs. Now that kind of blew me away when he said that. It made me understand, as did this Stephen Fry deal, that we're dealing with a pretty broad topic here that really is something that the industry has to deal with. They have
and
to
that's
deal
pretty much
with
what the
this.
strike is about, obviously on camera stuff. And that's what I don't think people, like you said, there's 27 people that auditioned for that, job we were talking about earlier. They're not realizing what they're selling.
Right.
And what they're potentially going to lose if they get that job and do that job. They're not realizing it.
Right. They think they're going to make $54,000 to record that, however many hours it was, and then I can move on to the next thing. No,
There's
because
not a next
now
thing.
you have given away all of it. It's and people think, well, I heard somebody the other day say it's ridiculous to price things, but for so many words for so much, and here I'm talking about the Fiverr approach. Well, it is and it isn't, because you have to then separate out the usage. So, yeah, I'll record 50 words for $100. I'm just throwing something out there. Okay, and where are you going to use that? Well, it's just used internally on a corporate thing. We're putting it up internally in our building for people to see it. Okay, so you can ask for some business usage if you'd like. You can make things up and do that, but technically you'd say, oh, okay, well, that you just pay the $100, you're good. Or, oh, that's going to be a 15-second YouTube ad, and well, now I'm going to ask for that usage. Oh, it's going to also go on local radio. Well, now I need that usage. So what they're missing on all this is you've given away that usage forever.
Right.
Every time
Yep.
they use your voice, oh, now it's on this ad. Well, that's $1,500. That's $1,800. This is $2,000. This is national. Oh, this one's $5,000.
And you're not getting that money.
And you get nothing. Well, I got $50,000. Yeah, but they've already used your voice enough for $500,000.
Yep.
Who knows? And I'm
it
not
seems
saying
like
that's
a lot
going to
of-
really apply, but it could.
Just because it seems like a lot of money to you at the time doesn't mean it's the appropriate amount of money that you should have been paid for all the work they're going to get out of that.
Right, right. And who's to say that they will or not? I'm not. I don't know. But that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
slavery's been
that's why
illegal in
those
our
jobs are
in
out
our
there.
United States for a long time.
Yeah. But that's what they're doing. They're enslaving your voice and doing
Yeah.
what they want with it, and you get nothing. You
Yeah.
get
And
nothing.
and understand that it's not just they're using your voice and getting something. They're using your voice and now you can't.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So they're taking jobs from you. They're not getting anyway. I won't
That's
go
what-
off
I
It's
to
so
think
that
that's-
deep.
frustrating. Like all of us
It's
can
what
just
they
go
do.
on and complain. I mean, I say complain. We can go on angrily, passionately, just talking
Yeah.
about this stuff. And what's frustrating is that you see people auditioning for these jobs, and you're like, you're not doing yourself any favors, that's for sure, and you're not doing the community
Right.
any favors, because as long as people keep auditioning for those things, those companies are going to keep putting out auditions like that
Right.
and jobs like
Right.
that, hurting
But
the community
But
and yourself.
what we can do from a passionate side of it is encourage people to. Nava is your biggest advocate right now. Tim Friedlander, Karin Gilfrey, they are our biggest advocate to get laws in place and get word to Washington. They were up there a couple weeks ago to push this to where your voice, your intellectual property is protected. And this is new, so it's got to be done now, quickly, and they are pushing that so hard.
Yep.
So if you
Yep.
are not a member, you should be. If you maybe you can't afford to join, but you can send them $25 to help, because this is all out of their pocket and what comes out of this membership, and they're having to go to
Right.
these things, and they spend hours and hours and hours every week advocating for all of us, and we need to support that as best we can. I know they've got some kind of ball or something coming up later on, and it's in California.
Is it a
Well,
gala or something? Nava
Yes,
Gala?
I did see
something
that.
like that. And I can't go to that, but
Right.
maybe I could just send an extra 25 or $50 and say, I don't want a ticket, but here's a donation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're in this and this is your thing and you want to help us protect this industry, please give to them and help them, because I fully believe in it. I mean, there are causes to believe in, and there are causes where you go, yeah, okay, whatever. This is one I know they are dedicated to doing the right thing to protect us, and they're the right people to do it. So please, if you can, find them online. You can just Google NAVA Nava. It'll come up. And give a little something.
Did you guys
they
touch
need
on
help.
Nava
what's
when
it
you had
stand
Karin on
for?
your?
Yeah, we did. You can go back to that episode on the VO Life. I interviewed Karin Gilfrey, and
From about a month or two
she
ago.
talks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been at least. Yeah, and hey, I've got big news. This month, coming up right here on this podcast, Lala Petus will be joining us for our
Hey.
celebrity interview. So
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
That's
Lala.
fantastic. That is
Lala's been
fantastic.
yeah,
She's great.
so she'll be here at the end of the month. I got the confirmation just as I was sitting here that we'll be on 1 week from today. We will record with her, and it will come out that Friday. So I look forward to that.
Fantastic.
Were we
That was
gonna have-
awesome.
Charles calls her anti-law, so we'll see.
Well, were we going to have Charles on with us? Didn't we talk about having him?
We talked about doing that. That might be another surprise. Yeah,
We could do that.
Oh,
We
okay.
could do that.
So,
That'd be fantastic.
If you heard that, forget it.
Yeah. Hey, we're still recording
Yeah.
here, guys.
Oh, crap.
We're giving away the secrets. No, that's
Oh, no.
fantastic. I think people
No,
will want
dude,
to tune into that.
Yeah, I think they will,
sure.
because she is so good on the Boss podcast, and she is so knowledgeable. She knows so much. And I even went on a thing with Dan Marion. He's kind of affiliated with law and does a thing. I can't remember what night of the week. It was late at night, and it's a Zoom meetup. And I went on that, and that was a lot of fun to do. But
I
I
got
look forward to it because we're going to have questions. I know we're going to have a lot of
Oh, for
questions.
sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got to meet her and talk to her a couple times at One Voice Dallas, and then I actually had a Zoom with her a week or two after that as well. And she's just great. You guys are gonna like listening to her and what she has to say.
Yeah, I can't
She's
wait.
super fun,
I can't
always
wait.
smiling from what I remember. Yeah, super great. And I'm just that's great news. That's cool. I'm glad that you got
Yeah.
that while we were doing the podcast because
No
honestly,
kidding.
Alden and I
So,
had
It's
no
a great
idea. I mean,
teaser.
we had,
Well,
we
we didn't
had
know.
talked about
He
possibly having
shocked
her
us,
on there.
didn't he, Jake?
Yeah, he
and
did. I was
we're
like, he said we have big news this month, and I'm thinking,
Big news.
I don't remember
What?
you talking about this before the
Well,
show.
now I'm
well.
excited, but I'm
Let
gonna
me
get
tell you what's
we're
a high
distracted.
possibility for next month. I've
Uh-huh.
talked to Mary Lynn Wissner, and very good
Ooh.
chance we'll have Mary Lynn maybe next month. I haven't worked out a time or anything,
Okay.
but we've had a couple of emails back and forth, and actually concerning Sabrina Farrows, if you guys remember that name, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
I do.
yeah,
Yeah.
the email hassler.
Yeah.
I
discovered
think
their
she
identity?
had. Well, not yet. It's still being worked on.
Oh,
but
gosh.
Sabrina actually went at Mary Lynn. I thought of all people in this industry,
Wow.
why would you bother her? You know, just such a sweet person and successful person, and why would you go to someone like that and start hacking away? I don't get it.
If anybody's going to waste
don't
their
get it.
time, and let's talk about it, your one time on Earth being negative, trying to take other people down,
Yeah. What are
they've
you
got to have just
doing?
the worst, saddest life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you guys, we get one go around, at least to my knowledge. And I'm not going to waste it going out of my way to be mean to anybody. And I would encourage you all to do the same.
Yeah.
Well, a wise
yeah,
person
be
once told
kind.
me that some people just aren't happy unless they're mad.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. There are people that way. I was married to one. I should know. That's another story.
Okay. I'm hosting this thing. I've had to go back to my notes because you distracted me. I have one more question
Oh, okay.
concerning AI. So let's turn from the other side of it, from away from the voice actor's point of view to the client who hires the voice actor. Why would they not want to use AI voice?
Mm.
I have some ideas on this. So why would it be a bad idea
It's
to
not
use AI
human.
voice? Troy, you made me think of this because you mentioned somebody asking after you had submitted a project file, and they
Yeah.
asked you if it was AI voice.
Yeah, but because he wanted to make sure it wasn't. He wasn't
Exactly.
being critical. He just
Exactly.
said,
Well, at first
I don't want
we
it.
weren't sure though.
Right, it was
Yeah,
a
I
little
wasn't
bit
sure.
touch and go there for a minute.
Yeah, I got very defensive when I read it. I didn't reply defensively. I just said, "Oh no, of course not. It's not AI. You know,
Yeah.
here, let me send you me doing these voices, you know, and answering and which I guess I could have AI'd that, but." Yeah, he just wanted to make sure he's a musician, and he has a side thing where he does some video stuff, and
Yeah.
he just didn't want an AI voice, and I get that. But my answer to what you're saying is it's not human. I don't care what you do
Yeah.
to it; it's still not human. It doesn't feel anything. It's
There's
just
no
saying
connection.
the words. Yeah, no connection to
There's
the
no
copy. It's
connection.
saying the words.
Yep.
Is it better than it was a year or two ago? Heck yeah. I've heard some. I wouldn't know. But if I really, really listened to it and I knew the copy, I'm gonna say, yeah, it's not really connected. That's the thing I hear.
Sadly, we all three of us, because we're musicians and voice actors, we have good ears for that kind of thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that don't have the ear. There's
Yeah,
a lot of
true.
people that aren't going to be able to tell the difference when we can.
and that's why a lot of this won't matter because it's not important. You can put it on certain things and it won't be important, but there's going to be so much that you can't use it for. You know.
Yeah. Jake, you were getting ready to say something.
Well, I was just gonna, and I already technically said it earlier today. You know, when I was talking about my recent encounter with AI after that particular job. Again, closed doors, can't say much about it. But they came back and said, the voice we used in that clip was an AI clip, but it can't really act. Like, it sounded enough like the person they were wanting it to sound like. But again, after going back and listening to it, it couldn't be that person. The voice sounded like it, but that voice couldn't be that person and
Right.
capture and capture what they were wanting out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Couldn't act.
Yeah.
And that's another reason I don't think people want to use AI just yet. Again, there's people that don't care, and those are going to be the lower end tier jobs that aren't looking for anything spectacular with their voice actors, or the voice is clearly not going to be a bright spot in their project kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's encouraging. That's encouraging. But that being said, I think it's going to take out those lower paying jobs, and it's going to take it might wipe a lot of people out of
yeah.
voiceover, especially people making their living.
Yeah,
just
it
doing
will
this.
affect it.
That's
It'll
tough
affect the bottom.
to admit, but I
Yeah.
think you might be right.
And think about things like you order a TV stand and you get a link to a YouTube video how to put it together. I don't care what that guy sounds like. Put screw number A into hole B. Put two. Okay, that's fine.
You just want to know what to say. You're not sitting there, man. I love how this guy
Yeah,
tells me how to
yeah.
build the TV stand.
So what you're saying
it's
is for
different.
people who can't read. Can't read instructions.
Yeah. But you know how that is. A lot of times they send the
Yeah.
instructions and they have been done by somebody that was tried to put it in English out of another language, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
You
like
can't
using
follow
Google
it. The
Translate to
pictures
go
are
to one
terrible.
language and then coming back again. It's never the
Yeah,
same.
and I had to
Those
put
are
a love
hilarious. I
seat.
love those.
I had to put a love seat together. I've never put a piece of furniture together. My
Okay.
stepdaughter ordered a love seat. It's in huge boxes. Open it up, and it's got the side panels, and they slip onto the bottom, and then you got to put this on. But the instructions were junk.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's good for that kind of stuff. I do think possibly a lot of books, a lot of audio books, not the ones
They're
that
already
have
doing
stories.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but not
they're
the ones
already
that have
doing that.
really good storylines and all that, and multiple characters and blah 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 blah. But I think a lot of your like business related books, exercise books, stuff taking care of your body books.
Yeah.
They could probably, some of the AI I've heard is good enough to probably do that. I don't listen to audiobooks. I'm terrible. I don't read a lot. I read articles. I read stuff on, I read articles on the internet. I'm not a reader, so I can't relate to all that.
Well, and I even, in my opinion, if you're doing employee training, I don't think it's a good idea to use AI for that. Because
Puts people to sleep.
Well, yeah. Well, so can some voice actors too. But
Alden, stop.
But what you're saying to your employees is, this doesn't matter enough for me to have hired an actor. This doesn't matter enough for me to have used a human touch on this employee training stuff.
That's true. That's
so
true.
If you're training employees, you want them to know that this is important, right? And you need that human touch to get that through.
And AI is just not there yet.
AI,
hire human.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line to all of this. Hire human.
Hire human.
Please hire human.
Hey, that's what Liz Atherton's thing, Cast Voices.
Yeah.
They have that hashtag, hire
Isn't
human.
that cool?
I like that.
I love it.
It's so in addition to shop local,
hire human.
Shop people, shop humanity. Yeah.
Shop people. I don't know if we should go say shop people.
It sounds like a high school shop,
Yeah.
There's a shop people. All those shop people.
Before we talk about our truths and lie thing, I know we're probably close to getting to do that. If there's anybody out there that's listening to the podcast that has a very creative art side to them, and you'd like to create a logo for us,
hey,
I would love to see your ideas for another VO podcast. You could email that to us. We could go into, Canva or something and come up with something. And yes, we have a thing we're using right now, but I'd really like to see if anybody could come up with something really neat.
Just don't use AI.
Yeah, and not the standard headphones and a microphone or something.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen that. We all three wear glasses, and I've had the concept in my head of 3 different pair of glasses, or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
but you know what? They're all kind of similar too. I think mine are a little broader, like wider. Like
mine are just readers. You guys are old if you need glasses.
Well, I've been wearing glasses since I was in 4th grade.
Yeah, I've had them since I turned 40, so I'm about to turn 60.
Yeah, I've actually had readers since I was in my 20s.
Yeah. Well, is it truth and lie time?
It is.
There,
it is. Who wants to go first?
Of that.
You guys want to guess mine?
Yeah,
I don't. Do you need to read them again?
Yeah, no, I think. Well, I mean, you can if you want, but I think I remember yours, and I could be wrong, but I don't think they would have called you.
It's been 40 minutes, so let me hit it one more time because mine is short and to the point.
Right.
When I was a kid, the school had to call my parents because I ate my lunch too fast. I cheated on a test. I swallowed a thumbtack.
I mean, the obvious one would obviously be swallowed a thumbtack, but I'm going to go with something not so obvious and say ate your lunch too fast because I don't know why they would call about eating your lunch too fast. Alden ate his lunch too fast, and he is off the walls. Lunch is 25 minutes. He ate it in 5, and we don't know what to do with him for those 20 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say lunch.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
number 2 is the lie. I never cheated on a test. I didn't cheat.
I'll be darned. I'll be
I
darned.
cheated on
No,
tests.
when I was a kid, I went to a small school, and there were 4 boys, 13 in my class, four boys, including me, and we got the great idea that if we ate our lunches too fast, it would make us sick. We'd throw up, and we have to go home. So we all got sent to the
expression on
principal's
Jake's
office.
face is priceless. Look, he's just like, what? What? Really?
I mean,
love
because here's
that.
the thing. I eat super fast.
I do too.
Yeah.
So
I do too.
it doesn't make me throw up, but did you throw up?
No, we didn't throw up, and we didn't get sent home, but we got in trouble, and our parents got a call.
That's
Here's
funny.
what your stupid sons are doing.
Mm.
And I did swallow a thumbtack when I was in kindergarten, because you used to have all-day kindergarten, and you would take naps. There would be nap time, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So my nap spot was under the corkboard, and I was reaching up playing with the thumbtack, and the thing fell out and dropped right into my mouth.
And you swallowed it.
Right. I didn't swallow it. It was stuck in my throat.
Wow.
Did
So
you have to go to the...
when my mom got the call that I had swallowed a
my
thumbtack,
God.
she needs to come get me. And she's like, he swallowed it. Well, what am I going to do? It's going to come out, right?
That'll
That
hurt.
might be, that could hurt. I didn't swallow it. And so I don't know. I don't think she hung up and had to call back, but the principal got on the phone. No. You don't understand. It is stuck in his throat. So,
Wow.
yeah. I
Let
didn't
me tell
swallow
you real
actually.
quick. Let me tell you a real fast, funny story. We're sitting in church on a Sunday. My son is about 2 years old, and this is not. This is Josh, who's 20 now. And unbeknownst to me, he had taken a Tic-Tac, 2 Tic-Tacs,
Okay.
and shoved them up his nostril.
Oh, gosh.
So he's just sitting there, and as they began to dissolve, their peppermint, it started burning.
Of course.
So he's flailing around, and I don't know what's wrong with him. He's not telling me what's wrong. Out the door we go. We go flying to the ER
Oh my
because
gosh.
he's just holding his head screaming. The doctor says he's got something up his nose. He finally gets one of them out. There's a little bit left. He said he smells it. He said it's peppermint. It's a Tic-Tac. He had one in each nostril. And
Oh,
he said,
my
"We're just gonna
goodness.
we had to let the other one just
Yeah.
melt."
Yeah.
I bet that hurt.
When the doctor pulled it out, the doctor was gagging, and I'm like, "The doctor's gagging? What the heck?" But anyway,
That's He doesn't
Dumb
like mint. The
dumb
doctor
story.
Doctor doesn't
Hadn't
like
told that
mint.
well. I guess.
I put a
All right,
raisin
Jake.
up my nose when I was a kid, and it was in there all day. And by the time it was time to come out, it had
Oh,
moistened up
gosh.
so much it was basically a grape when they pulled it back out.
Oh my gosh!
You rehydrated a raisin in your
Yeah.
sinus
So
passage.
if anyone's interested in trying that out,
Don't do that. Don't
This
do
is
that.
gross.
if you feel like
This
a grape
is-
and you only have raisins, you have 2 nostrils. Anyway,
This
Okay.
wins
All
the
right.
most disgusting
get-
episode so far.
yeah, I know. It's,
All right,
Okay,
so
Jake, what do
mine,
you got?
Jake's turn.
Mine were, I have a buddy who has made a living being a professional video game player, transition that into being a coach of a video game team for the same sport as Rainbow Six Siege. The other one was when I was in, I think it was 2nd grade. I sang Rockin' Robin at my school. They sent me to this kind of review at the mall, and this guy approached my parents and said, we'd love to have him be a part of our little, entertainment group for kids. It was based in Branson, Missouri. We couldn't do it. And the other one was that I've been a Cowboys fan since I was 5 years old.
Number 3.
I know, Jake, that you were raised in Wichita, right? Area?
I was born in Wichita. I grew
Born in
up in
Wichita.
Moore, Oklahoma, and I moved to Texas when I was 12.
That makes it seem like you're a Cowboys fan.
He may be, but
Because I know people from Wichita that are Cowboys fans because that's what they
Who
got
else are
on
they
the
going to
TV.
root for?
the
Well, I guess
whole
the
United,
guys.
the whole United
Exactly.
States, the
Yeah.
whole U.S.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
covered in them, especially older folks. I'm still going with the Cowboys.
I'm going to go number 2. Number
You going to
2.
go number 2?
Because I
It
think
is
that story
number
might
3.
go differently. Oh,
It is
it's number
number
3.
I am not a Cowboys fan at all. I'm not really a fan of any particular team. The first team I was ever a fan of was the Chiefs. And then I kind of like the Titans when they became a thing, when Houston moved to Tennessee and became the Titans. In their
Mhm.
first year, they almost went to the Super Bowl. I remember it Well, they did go to the
Yeah.
Super Bowl, and they almost won the Super Bowl. I remember it very clearly. They played the Rams, and they lost. But I was a fan of the Titans for a little while, and now I really just don't care. I just like to gamble. I'm just I really do. I mean, like I really care more about the players because I'll do like daily fantasy or like season-long leagues. But yeah, I'm not a Cowboys fan at all. My friends give me crap for it all the time, and I'm always hating, so to speak, on the Cowboys. I think they're the big. I mean, like they do really well to start the year off, and even sometimes well into the year, and then they always choke at an integral moment in the season, and they blow it. So
I feel
used to
like
be a
I
fan.
was specifically geared to miss that question because I have a really good friend who grew up in Wichita area and has been a Cowboys fan all his life, and I just
well,
thought,
I did not know that. So I
that's
wasn't
what you
trying to
do if
single
you grew up
out.
in Wichita.
Yeah.
So,
right,
all right,
so,
you got me on that one, Troy. Hey, you got one right, Troy.
Yeah, I did. That's amazing.
That's a good one.
Amazing. All right, here were mine. 1978, Babe Ruth Baseball Athlete of the Year for the Middle Tennessee region. 1986, I was the opening act for Pam Tillis. 2008, I was on tour with Bill Gaither as a backup singer.
I'm sorry, I got to go with. I mean, I hope this is true, but I got to go with 2008 Bill Gaither, backup singer, especially because you have kids, and I imagine at some point, you can't. It's hard to go on tour, so I would think the Bill Gaither one would be a lie.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm hesitant.
You're both right because Bill Gaither doesn't have backup singers.
Well, there you go. There
Okay,
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
But yes, I was a Babe Ruth Athlete of the Year, and yes, I did open for Pam Tillis. So, yeah.
I thought you had mentioned opening for somebody, and I thought maybe it wasn't Pam Tillis. It was
Yeah,
somebody
I
else.
also
So I thought that
opened
might have been
for,
the lie.
Yeah, I opened for the Kendalls. I don't know if you remember them.
Mhm.
Porter Wagner opened for him once. Gene
heard that
Watson
name.
opened for Gene Watson. Yep.
Those are
pretty
all
neat.
pretty good. We should do this again.
I don't know if I can make up another lie, but sure.
Oh yeah. Well, come
I'm
on.
really not good at lying. My
good
girlfriend
if you-
sees right
you-
through it all the time.
If you practice, you get good.
I love it. I love it.
Oh,
I
gosh.
think the next episode, Jake should sing Rockin' Robin. We need a karaoke track.
That'd be
All
yeah.
right, yeah, we'll get that.
That'd be your
All right,
intro.
maybe I'll record it in a booth
Karaoke.
and you can play a little snippet of it or
There
something.
you go. We can do that. That'll be the opening for the Lollapetus interview.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
not?
guys, I think
Why
we
not?
need to wrap this up. We've gone and congratulations to anybody who stuck around and listened to the answers because
Yeah,
this ended
thank
up being
you.
a little bit longer episode than we expected. But we're glad you listened. We hope that you do watch those auditions and make sure you're not getting yourself into a situation where you're giving your voice away for really pennies on the dollar. Even if the price says $54,000, you're selling yourself short. You're doing something that's going to hurt you in the long run. That's
Mhm.
our opinion. And
Don't
For-
sell your voice to the
don't
devil.
that's exactly.
Don't
Exactly.
do it.
And so we're glad you listened to It's Another VO podcast for the actual real human Troy Holden, the actual real human Jake Sanders, and I'm Alden
Hello.
Schinneberg. Maybe I'm a robot, maybe not. We'll see you later.
See ya. Keep on grinding.
Goodbye.
Thanks for making it all the way through another VO podcast with Jake, Alden, and Troy. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at anothervopodcast@gmail.com. And be sure to like or comment on your podcast platform. We drop episodes every week and interview peers once a month also. If you have something you'd like to ask or topics in mind we need to discuss, let us know. Otherwise, we hope to see you next week right here on another VO podcast.